The Florida Gators land Javari Flowers. Can he make an instant impact in the Florida secondary? And will the Gators start recruiting Dade County harder now that Flowers and two other players from the Miami Public League are coming to Gainesville?
Locked On presents The Portal, the daily podcast covering college football recruiting and everything NIL. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back into the Portal Podcast, where you get your daily recruiting, NIL, and transfer portal news. I'm your host, Brian Smith, longtime recruiting analyst and writer. Thank you for making the Portal Podcast your first listen each and every day. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. We're going to be talking all things Javari Flowers and the Florida Gators, so let's start with the breakdown here. Formerly, he is a class of 2026 prospect that after the Under Armour All-American game, reclassed to 2025. He comes from Miami Northwestern after winning a state championship, and he's a big-time corner. 5'10", 5'11", 175 pounds, and we're talking about blazing speed. 10-400 meters, that doesn't go out of style. Also, he's a young man that understands the position because he will play off and break on the ball and make a play. He's a guy that can play straight up man coverage, get in your face, and cover a guy all the way around the field, even if he's a small guy, a big player that likes to run the fade routes, doesn't matter. And he's also a physical player. Javari Flowers will run to the football on a toss sweep just like he will running after a slot receiver. He doesn't care who he has to go through. He's a football player first and foremost. Yes, he's a corner, but Javari Flowers can play running back, receiver, corner, whatever. He would figure it out. With that being stated, they beat out Notre Dame, Miami, Auburn, and numerous other programs for his services. This is a kid, even though he reclassed, I think that he can possibly make an instant impact. Part of that's going to depend on exactly how they slot him. And the reason I bring that up is the following. I just talked about he could play other positions, but let's just look at it from a secondary perspective. Could Flowers maybe help out at nickel? It's possible. Sharif Denson's probably going to be the nickel, I think, this next year for UF. You got to have backups. What if Denson gets banged up? Flowers has a physical nature to him, as I noted. That's important. You're going to play the slot position in the SEC. You're going to see tight ends. You're going to see fullbacks. You're going to see really athletic offensive tackles come out into space to come after you on the screen game, toss sweeps, outside zone. You have to be able to fend for yourself against a guy that weighs 100 to 150 pounds more than you do and is bringing it full head of steam on a screen. That is not a normal thing to do. Flowers is one of those rare guys from a mentality standpoint, just from watching him play his film and seeing him live. I don't think there's any doubt that he can do that. I'm also curious about something else with him. Could he play dual role? Maybe he plays corner and nickel. If it's not this year, maybe long term. All of those things will get answered in time, and we'll go over UF's situation in the secondary here in about 5 minutes. But in some way, shape, or form, we're going to see Flowers make an impact for the Gators in 25. That is my prediction for this show. I just love his game and his competitive nature in everything that he does. You know, the speed's great and all that. But his physicality and competitive nature will get him on the field for the Gators beyond just special teams, which, by the way, it is a lock that Flowers will be on special teams very quickly for the Florida Gators. As for his recruitment, it came down to the end. Looked like Florida Notre Dame at the very end of it. And this is also an important factor for Billy Napier and his staff. He is a Miami Northwestern recruit. Teddy Bridgewater and all the different players that are there in that community coming off a state title. This is important. They haven't always recruited South Florida the way they probably should, talking about Florida's football program, long before Napier was there. Spurrier didn't always hit it that hard. Meyer is the one coach that did a consistently good job down there, but they also got Ben Hanks Jr., obviously a legacy recruit because his father played linebacker for the Florida Gators, but they also got Nashawn Montgomery. Ben Hanks Jr. is from Miami Booker T. Washington. Nashawn Montgomery is from Miami Central. And then the trifecta is Javari Flowers from Miami Northwestern. Those are arguably the three most famous public school programs in Dade County. You could argue others, and that's fine. But that's probably the biggest three, in my opinion. With that being stated, will Florida come back into Miami more often now? Because not only did they get players out of it, they got three really coveted players. It could be. That's something to look at for Florida's class in 26, 27, and beyond. If the Florida Gators start getting kids out of the Miami Public League a little more consistently, it takes their recruiting up another notch. When we come back, we're going to talk about Florida's secondary. Are they going to get over some of their woes from the last few years? Looking at their depth chart, if it doesn't happen in 2025 for the Gators, will it ever? They got some talent back there. We're going to talk about it next here on the Portal Podcast. Imagine watching your favorite team live, feeling the energy of the crowd, and witnessing unforgettable moments. There's nothing like experiencing a big game in person. Getting tickets shouldn't be stressful. That's where Game Time comes in, making it easier than ever to grab last-minute ticket seats at unbeatable prices. Here's the biggest thing. At the top of the Game Time app, it'll say Game Time Picks. Just click on it. It's a curation, making it easier for you to find the best tickets to concerts, basketball games, football games, hockey, going to a movie theater, a comedy show, whatever you want to do with your friends, your girlfriend, whatever it may be. Game Time Picks is a great way for you to make it happen. Also, this is my personal favorite with Game Time. If you click on a ticket, you can see the seat and where is it in concert to the actual pitcher's mound or the stage or the 50-yard line. All of that right there on your phone in one click. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. That's LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guarantee. We are also brought to you by our friends over at Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're into plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get their job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands, you'll find exactly what you need, delivered fast, coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to an actual live person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That is supplyhouse.com. Will the Florida Gators secondary take a major step up? They need to. Their secondary numbers that I'll list in a second are embarrassing for any school, let alone one in the SEC with Florida's heritage. But consider the following players. They got Cornerback McClain, Dejon Johnson. They've got a bunch of guys in the secondary just overall, to be honest, that have enough talent and experience. This could be a top 10, top 15 secondary. Now, I know their schedule is crazy. So because of that reason, I'm not going to say Florida's going to end up top 5. Their schedule is, again, top 5 in terms of difficulty, maybe even the most difficult. Then where Oklahoma would be my pick. But again, the secondary is really good. I really like Sharif Denson as your nickel. You could use several other players in that spot, but he's a savvy guy and he's really athletic, experienced player. He's a junior. That's a good spot. You got Johnson at one corner, Devin Moore at another one. Cormani's competing. This is a really good group, and that doesn't even touch maybe the best player in the secondary. Debatable is Jordan Castell when he's on, but it's the mental errors they got to get over. And then you add this group of DBs they just brought in, pushing the pile, plus some other guys coming back. Watch out for Greg Smith, by the way. Javari Flowers, we talked about. Onis Cannonberry, Ben Hanks Jr., Drake Stubbs, Lagonza Hayward. They have a loaded 2025 freshman group coming in. It's time, man. Like, it is time. I don't know which guys end up starting by third, fourth game. You know, things sometimes change after the beginning of the year, but they're going to have different players pushing forward to get into the lineup in at least the rotation. There's no reason Florida shouldn't be at worst, a top 25 secondary in the country, meaning your pass defense, your big plays allowed. I've got two categories with that one I'm going to talk about in a second that are unbelievably bad considering it's UF. And you've got some new guys coming in on the staff. So Vinny Sunseri, co-defense coordinator now. He's in charge of the safeties, comes over from Washington. He's been with the Patriots. He was with Bama's 2011 and 2012 national title teams as a safety. That's a good football player and somebody that's winning the coaching profession. He'll probably be around a long time. That's going to work out well for him. And also you got Deron Wilson, a guy that was at UF as an assistant in the secondary, goes to Arkansas. Now he's back. Here's his chance. He's got plenty of talent, a lot of experience. Some of the kids that he was involved with in recruiting ended up at UF, and now they're upperclassmen. And you still have a bunch of young guys. Again, I just talked about it. Onis Cannon Banning. You got Ben Hanks Jr. You're going to have – I'm trying to pick one that's going to play right away as hard as – maybe Drake Stubbs plays the earliest. I love his game. And then again, Javari Flowers. Like, just that group. It's insane. And that doesn't even count Laganza Hayward. It's like there's no reason they shouldn't go up. So without further ado, here are the ridiculously bad stats last year for Florida secondary. They were 81st in the nation in passing defense, 227.5 per game allowed. Again, the Florida Gators gave up 227.5 yards. Here are the two stats that are worse in my opinion, though. Passing plays allowed of 20 or more yards. They were 126th in the nation. Keep in mind, there are only 134 teams. 126th in the nation. The Florida Gators gave up 55 plays of 20 or more yards through the year. Are you kidding me? Ridiculous. So that's a lot of mental errors. Some guys have changed spots. You got Sunseri in there now, etc. There should be more consistency. And again, maybe I'm wrong, but Jordan Castell, I think, is an NFL player. You got him in there. He started as a freshman. Greg Smith's pushing the pile. You should be okay at safety. They just can't have the mental errors. We'll find out soon enough. But then the last stat, I don't even normally throw this stat out there, but it's so bad, again, that I thought it was noteworthy. Plays of 30 or more yards. They came in 65th by giving up 17 of them. This is Florida. If it doesn't happen this year, when would it happen? And to be honest, if it doesn't happen this year, what happens with the staff? Because they've already made staff changes and there's a lot of different commitments. It has to be this year. They've got some talented coaches. They've got guys that know the roster. They have experience. They have depth. They have size. They have speed. There is no excuse. I don't want to hear anything about the schedule or anything else. UF should have a top 25 secondary in the country conservatively, pretty much every year, to be honest. But especially this group, with all the experience they have coming back and the length and athleticism, they should. So we'll see how that goes. They've got to play Miami and other teams that are really good. Florida State's out of conference too, but we'll see how they are. It's just still the SEC gauntlet that I wonder about. If they have any injuries, they've got the guys to come in and do something, but are they on the same page? Last year, it wasn't like a man coverage problem. It would be somebody that would just make a mental error when they trade from one guy to the other. Like when one guy leaves his zone and goes into another, somebody would go scot-free. That's why Florida lost football games. They would give up one or two plays a game on defense. You'd be like, what are you doing? And it was just unbelievable. I think this year they get it turned around and they probably separate themselves from the majority, maybe not every team in the SEC. They should have one of the best passing defenses in the Southeastern Conference. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I think they'll finish somewhere in the top 5 or 6 of the league, which that's an impressive group. And it's just because of the raw talent and experience combined. We'll see if I'm right or not. Thank you once again for making the Portal Podcast your first listen each and every day. Truly appreciate you stopping in to talk all things going on in the world of recruiting, NIL, and transfer portal. Hit that like button, that notification bell, and subscribe to this podcast. We will see you again soon.